Why the blurry background?
I'm in the bunker.
Your top secret location.
Yeah.
So I see
We're live streaming.
Very early.
Yeah.
I like to start it early in case it glitches.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey, Kelly. Hey, Pam.
Hi.
Speaking of glitches.
Good evening, everybody. We're a couple minutes away from getting started here, but thanks for everyone for joining us, and we'll get rolling in a moment.
Evening.
Hey, Mike, you doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Here. All right, y'all. I'm seeing that we are past 5:30, so time to get started. Just wanting to take roll and kind of keep track of folks who are logging in as appointees. Would the two numbers who called in mind letting us know who you are? The 4230 first, maybe? Or how about the 0547 number? Who those folks are? All right,
I believe 4230 is Rashid, one of our project managers.
Okay, great. Awesome. Track that one. Do we know about the 0547?
I'm not sure who that one is.
Okay. All right, that's okay. Very good. Let's see, Brian's here. Thank you for joining us. And Mr. Anderson, thanks for jumping back in with us here.
Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. Very good, y'all. So I suspect a lighter crowd for the holiday week and everything that it is. So not wanting to keep y'all too late into the evening, I'd love to jump into it, hit some high points, and run through our agenda, make sure we're an opportunity to reply. 0547, I see you chiming in there.
That's Dr. Ali.
Very good. Thank you all. So with that, thank you all for joining us. We'd like to call this meeting to order. Allison or Kelly, have we seen any public comments come through the door over the last month we'd like to address?
I haven't.
No, there haven't been any.
Okay, great. We'll go ahead and move right into the Office of Small Business Opportunities. Do we have an update?
We do. Thank you, John, and good evening to everyone. As of right now, we have a total of 104 SLBEs. We've increased that number since the last meeting. A lot of great news is that we were able to set an 18% utilization goal on the Garners Ferry and Harmon Road intersection improvement projects. So we will be tracking for that. We have spent the last couple of months working on the grants that are actually being administered through our office. The COVID-19 Small Business Relief Grant, the application opened up December 1st, and we had a little over 700 businesses that at least started the application process. And at the time we submitted the report, we had 82 applications that were fully submitted. We actually have closer to 100 that were fully submitted. So we're going through the process now of kind of reviewing those for whoever meets the criteria to be able to disperse the funds for that. Simultaneously, we have another grant that we'll release in January. It's our Seeds to Engage, which is more for seed money for some of our small businesses that are up and coming. We've already started with the overview for that grant by way of Zoom calls and in person. Because it has a pitch and business proposal attached to it, we've partnered with the Richland County Library to help us with the pitch competition piece of this, to help our small businesses prepare. We will launch the seed grant, I believe it's about mid-January, but probably since October, it's been grants coming out of our office. So that's kind of the lowdown skinny, John, on OSPO.
Very good. Any questions, concerns, or anything we'd like to ask Pam about here, y'all? Great to hear that engagement with those relief grants and that those they're getting that program ready for the seed money. That all sounds awesome.
Yes, going very well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you.
With that, let's move into our transportation update. I guess Allison or Michael, would one of y'all like to kick it off? I'm not sure. I've got both of you here on the agenda.
We will tag team tonight. We've got quite a few items. Allison and the project managers have a lot of updates for you. I know I was very brief last month's meeting, but wanted to indulge in more information this month. We had a good meeting with the ad hoc committee over the last two meetings, and then we just had approval of Dirt Road Package M. That was approved on last week, Tuesday or Thursday, I'm sorry, at the ad hoc committee, and we had a special call council meeting. So council added that item to the agenda of the evening council meeting, and we got that approved through council. So that'll be working through procurement on contracting phase and getting to a pre-construction meeting at that point. Atlas Road widening, CE and I, and materials testing was approved by committee. We didn't put that on the special agenda, but it will be coming up on the February committee or council meetings for approval. That's in preparation for the construction bid anticipated in the spring for Atlas Road widening from Garner's Ferry Road to Shop Road and taking it to 5 lanes. So it's a big project, and staff wanted to get the C and I lined up, so that's underway. And then Allison will take us through our pre-construction and construction updates.
Yeah, so for the interview, I added back in all of our projects that are currently being worked on, whether pre-construction or construction. Haven't really had a lot of updates on some of these recently. But we've got a lot of comments back from DOT on some of these, which has really finally enabled us to start moving forward on some of this stuff. So the first one is Alpine Road Sidewalk. We just got comments back from DOT on the final set of construction plans. So once we get those addressed, we'll be able to get final DOT approval and then get our DHEC approval and get that advertised. Atlas Road widening, still working on final DOT comments. The city is still working on getting some final water relocation easements. Blythewood Road widening, we're still doing final coordination with the towns. Not much change on that one. Now we have recently gotten DOT comments back for the Blythewood Road area improvements. This project, as you may be aware, includes work on McNulty Street and also Creech. So we've gotten comments. They have been submitted separately to DOT because they're in different phases. But once they are finalized, they will be submitted and advertised together as one final construction project overall. So Broad River Road, we are in the process of, we've gotten a good final scope for them. So we're negotiating a fee with that OET right now. Hopefully we'll get a final service order executed within the next month, and they'll go ahead and finalize the design on that project. Bull Elmwood intersection, good news. We finally got approval from DOT to do the Dominion's light pole relocation. So finally some progress there. So our utility coordinator is in the process of letting all the other utilities know where the final location is, and they can make any final adjustments to their relocation plans. And then once we have all that pulled together from those utility companies, we can complete the final bid package and get that advertised. So hopefully, depending on how long it takes the utility companies to get that to us, we should be able to get that advertised in the next month or so. Bluff Road, phase 2. We're expecting 30% design plans from the OET in January. So they're moving along pretty good on that one. Crane Creek NIP, this is one of our neighborhood improvement projects that's really going to be sidewalk around, I believe, 6 or 7 roads. It is broken up in 2 different phases, and they're in different, I believe one is in preliminary design and one is in right-of-way phase. So that most likely will not be advertised together. But we're kind of going back and forth on the preliminary design with DOT to get some final questions answered, such as, do they want us to get right-of-way, or do they want us to get easements where we're going to have to go outside of the right-of-way right now? So we're just hashing out some of that stuff with DOT so we can finalize our preliminary plans. Then we have the Crane Creek Greenway. This actually has just been executed with our OET to start design on this. I may have mentioned in one of our previous meetings, our 3 City of Columbia Greenways, Gills Creek, Crane Creek, and Smith Rocky Branch. We are going to submit administrative adjustment requests to the city, requesting that we be allowed to take the width from 14 down to 10 feet to be a more reasonable design and to bring it within a reasonable cost. We have submitted this request to the city waiting for Gills Creek. They did let us know that their administrative adjustment committee is meeting this week. So hopefully we'll have an answer on Gills Creek by next week, where they're going to let us go down to 10 feet or not on that one. Decker Woodfield, we have added a new sidewalk project to that overall neighborhood improvement project. It's going to be along Hunt Club Road, and we've just executed that service order with our OET. So our dirt road packages, as Mike mentioned, we just had package M approved. So once procurement executes the contract with the contractor, usually takes a week or 2 to get that done. We'll hold our pre-construction meeting in January and get that one moving. So construction will most likely start in February on package M. Package N, we're still finalizing. We hope to have 3 to 4 roads in that one. We have 1 road ready to go, and other 3 we're finalizing now. So we may be able to get that one advertised in January, beginning of February sometime, hopefully, depending on permitting. Garner's Ferry Harmon, I've recently worked with OSDO. We've gotten our SLBE goal set for that one. So I'm just waiting for the OET to finalize the bid package. We're good to go on utilities now. Everything is ready to go. Once they give me those final documents, we'll get that advertised. Gills Creek, I already mentioned we've submitted that letter to the city and we're waiting to hear back from them. Lower Richland, we are in the process of negotiating a fee for them to finalize that design. Percival Road Sidewalk, we are completing final construction plans. We have run across a section of the roadway that has a lot of erosion going on, and we're in discussions with DOT on how to handle that. They're investigating right now to see if it's undermining the roadway or if it's just a shoulder issue. So we can know whether we need to go ahead and address it and fix the road and the erosion right now, or if we can wait, until spring when we do our project. So once we get that erosion issue figured out, we'll get that project finalized. Pineview Road Widening, we just executed a service order modification for this one for the OET to complete the final D-scope version of that project. Polo Road Widening is still under design. So staff is right now in the process of, I have just resurfacing package S listed right now. But we're actually going ahead and putting together a package S and a T. We believe that we'll be able to get 2 full packages completed before we run out of the resurfacing funds of $40 million. Screaming Eagle Percival, that one again, we're finalizing the bid documents. Sharp Road Widening under design. We do not have the 30% design design plans yet, but we hope to have those by the end of February. Smith Rocky Branch, again, that one's under design, but we're not getting too far along because we want to submit that administrative adjustment to the city to see if we can go down to a 10-foot width. Spears Creek Church Road, 30% plans have been submitted to DOT. Our OET has already responded back to the comments. So now we're waiting for final approval from DOT to move on to 70% plans. Sunset Drive Sidewalk, that was still under design. We have an issue with a couple of properties where we're trying to get right of way or an easement. Once we get that straightened out, we can finalize that design and get that permitted. Tram Newcastle, this is a new update. I believe last time we discussed this project, we had just executed the service order. We expect the OET to have in the next 2 months, so 30% plans to submit to DOT. Moving on to construction, we have finalized the construction of Clemson Road, the sidewalk phase 1. I believe they have performed the final walkthrough, and the contractor is addressing punch list items right now. Dirt Road Package K, they've completed about 75% of that project. Dirt Road Package L, we just had a pre-construction meeting last week, and the contractor expects to begin construction in January. So that will be in the middle of the off season for paving. So they'll be performing things like installing construction, permanent construction signs, clearing and grubbing, some grading, things like that. But paving, that won't begin until March, April timeframe. Innovista Green Street Phase 2, we're about 70% complete on that project. We still expect to have substantial completion by the end of January. But again, due to the delay in the shade structure, the bridge will not be open until the end of June. I wish we could speed that up, but again, they are ordering that material from Germany. So it's depending on, the cargo ships and everything we're hanging out in the ocean, that's still kind of holding us up on that. North Main Street. This change order has been around for a while now. We did meet with the city last week to discuss funding to cover it. I believe the county and the city are kind of looking at our IGA through different lenses. We don't quite agree on the funding sources and who should cover what. So we're in the process of pulling together final numbers for that on what's been spent and what we anticipate being spent. And I believe both entities are going to submit the IGA to their respective legal departments to get a legal take on this. So I don't really have an update on that. Old Garner's Ferry Road, I have approximately 95% complete. It's really done. They just need to go out and do a final walkthrough and complete the punch list items, and that project can be closed out. If Eva is on, I did list the resurfacing package R roads. Hopefully she won't yell at me anymore. We are about 20% complete on that package. And then Three Rivers Greenway Phase 1B. We did hit a hiccup on that project. You may be aware that we were originally going to install a cofferdam and then try to pump the water out. Well, we couldn't, it just wasn't working. As fast as they were pumping out, it was coming back in. So they've had to go a different route with blocking off and filling them with riprap instead of trying to bridge the gap like we were trying to do originally. That one is anticipated to be constructed by the end of February, March timeframe. So those are really the only updates I have for pre-construction construction. We do have a list of hopefully upcoming solicitations, again, based on permitting and utility relocation.
Hi, John, this is Eva.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to acknowledge and tell Allison, thank you so much for the thorough report and outlining the roads. I really, truly appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely, and I'll echo that was very thorough, Elson. I appreciate that. Certainly got my juices flowing to think about a few things. But before I jump in and ask a bunch of questions, does anyone, any of the other appointees have any other questions that they would like to ask or dive in a little bit deeper into some of those project descriptions and exactly where we're at to get some more detail? Frank?
John, this is Frank, and again, thanks for inviting me back to the commission. Allison, you mentioned the Broad River project. Is that the Broad River to Dutch Fork Road project?
That's exactly right.
Okay, because about a year and a half ago, that was placed on hold. I know that the mayor actually came out and asked for their project to proceed also. So where exactly are we on that project?
Yeah, the mayor was successful, but we also had the project managers go back as a team here and kind of look at where we could rescope projects to still stay within referendum. And that one had come back from our July 20th council meeting. They had approved allowing that to go back to the original 5 lanes. But that I think, Allison, we've talked to the consultant, and we're working on the full scope of it as it was envisioned.
Right. We have finalized the scope with them, and we have received a fee proposal from them. So we're in the negotiation process on the cost of the design. I believe our project manager has reviewed their fee proposal and has sent comments back, questioning some of the costs they proposed. So once we get a final cost agreed upon, we'll execute a contract with them to get that designed.
So we anticipate probably breaking ground second quarter next year, or have any time frame?
Couple of years.
Yeah, we've got quite a ways. We have somewhat of a preliminary design done from before, but we probably have a year to year and a half of design work before we move to right-of-way phase. Right-of-way can take, depending on how responsive the citizens or the property owners are, that can take anywhere from 6 months to a year on top of it. So we're looking at 2 to 3 years before construction would start.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we understand with what's going on the interstate 26 and everything. There's a lot going on. I've experienced the traffic light queuing on the road, and know that it's more than a mile long at times. Particularly evenings. So we know that's a key project.
Thanks
I'll
again.
echo that. I drove that stretch this morning, and even without school and not being anywhere close to rush hour, it was still pretty hectic getting up and down that road there. So I think we all see the need. So thrilled to hear that we're making progress and moving in that direction. Also interested to hear about these 3 river greenways, and I know these intergovernmental agreements have been difficult to kind of figure out, and I can imagine right now with money flying from so many different directions how that's going to be complicated. That said, Allison, you were talking a little bit about building cofferdams to complete. Is that the Saluda Greenway down to the island connector that y'all were working on, having a little bit of issue with?
This is the one. It's the second half of phase 1. If you remember phase 1, back in the 2015 flood, it eroded a large area near the railroad tracks up towards kind of near Boyd Island. And so the official construction plans didn't address it. So now we've had to come back after the fact, right when we got to the end of the project, come up with a new design to get approved by the city. And unfortunately, over the summer, we had so much rain, water levels being so high, it's just really been unsafe for us to try to construct it. So the final plan agreed upon was to use a cofferdam to try to block off and get that area dry so that we can complete that section. Even with the cofferdam, the water levels have kind of been too crazy for it to be stable. So they've gone to trying to pump out that area and get the project completed. So if we can have a good stretch without any kind of rain and get the water levels to go down, we can get that taken care of.
So I imagine with the rock where it is, that was probably an earthen cofferdam that they tried to install that was unsuccessful, or?
No, I believe it was the geotextile cofferdam, but I believe the water level still being so high, it was still a dangerous situation that they couldn't get it stabilized.
Understood. And is the county at risk with these means and methods, or is that the contractor's responsibility to kind of sort through? When we start looking at the cost of this, have they guaranteed that they're going to provide a complete system and those means and methods? Are there risks to take, or is the county at risk for these delays and issues?
That is a good question. With it being a safety issue, if we try to tell the contractor, you've got to get this done, and we put them into we're risking their life and limb. I think that would put us with some liability. We've gotten an assurance, once they can get it started, they have 90 days to complete it. But I think us trying to force them into an unsafe situation to get it done would come back to haunt us.
Absolutely. Okay. Understood. But I know John's watching carefully to make sure that one gets completed. With the reduction in the width of the Greenway paths, would that apply to future phases of the Saluda Greenway as well? Would that be kind of governing moving forward, or would that only be for the specific paths that we've asked for, so Gills Creek and Crane Creek? Were there others as well, or is that just all encompassing moving forward?
It would be each individual project. We did try to submit a request to the city to cover these 3 upcoming greenways at once, and they kind of gave us feedback. We don't think it would pass if you try to do a wholesale, request to cover all of them. So we've gone back and kind of followed their suggestion to submit one at a time. Now, Three Rivers or Saluda Phase 2, that will be handled by the River Alliance. So I believe they are actually going to try to match Phase 1 and go with an 8-foot wide bridge and boardwalk.
And with Gills Creek, I know that the folks who are advocating for that are just, get it done. We can deal with a couple fewer feet to walk through. I guess with the approval from the board, from that Columbia board, then how far out is it from construction? Is it kind of ready to roll? I guess you had to modify your plans, of course, to reduce the size.
Yeah, I think we're right around right-of-way phase plans for Gills Creek. We've just been waiting on, trying to fit the budget that we have available, come up with a design that'll work. We still may have to make some adjustments as to starting and stopping points, depending on what the city says. Once we get a final yay or nay from them, we'll see what right-of-way we have. Now, the city did state they would go ahead and draft any right-of-way or easement documents for us, since they'll be taking these easements over. So we would be kind of at their mercy as their time frame to get us those easements. And then we would go out and actually try to get the signatures and get them recorded. So with Gills Creek, we are still several months away, even once we get a yes or no from the city.
Good. I know Lower Richland is one that we're watching closely as well. So I guess we're just negotiating a little bit, and then we'll have that one ready to roll. So that's good to hear. Bull and Elmwood, thrilled to hear we've sorted out that issue with DOT. Excited to see some work coming in there. Just curious, because it came up this past weekend, and I'll stop. Is there going to be any, bicycle infrastructure installed with that intersection at Bull and Elmwood? I haven't actually seen the plan, but I got stuck at that light for like 4 cycles this weekend. It was driving me crazy.
Not that I know of. It doesn't have any bike lanes. I can do the plans, but I do not believe so.
Did you get?
I'm not sure that there are bikeways there currently to tie into. I'm not familiar with. I haven't. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was coming out of the park up towards Elmwood, heading towards Main Street, and next time I'll just get out and hit the button. It'll be fine. Not a big deal.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Very good. Do y'all have any other questions that we'd like to hit Allison or Mike with while we're going through this transportation update here, y'all? Okay. Seeing none, we can move on down our agenda. Thank you all very much for the thorough update. That very much appreciated. To the comment program, it looks like the updates didn't make our agenda, but Eric, please feel free to send anything that you do have to Kelly, and she can update us with that and distribute us to the group. But we'd love to hear, how things are going with the comment, what y'all are working on, and what we can be looking forward to over the next month and into the new year.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's tough going after Allison, but we do have we do have some updates, but it was more so on a limited capacity because of how our reports come in. But as we get more information, I'll make sure I send that out to the committee. But we do anticipate having a draft plan for our Reimagine the Comment project by February. So we did finally get some updates there. We'll host at least two public meetings for once the plan comes back, and then we hope to have a conversation with the board and have something adopted by April. So this is just a tentative deadline that we have, and so hopefully we can kind of stick to the timeline that we put in place. Also, in our last meeting, we talked a lot about Route 76, Route 77. I did go back and look at the data. I put in the data for the most recent month. For October, but we don't have the official report as of yet, but I do have at least those numbers for those routes. And it looks like those routes are doing well. What happened was in July, we saw a huge spike in Route 77. They went from 592 passengers to 2,352 passengers. And not sure why, but this is something that we're just working through on our end. But that's the reason why there was such a skew in the data that we were seeing and saying, hey, it's trending in the wrong direction. But overall, outside of that, I did try to get our new interim executive director, Derek Huggins, on the line. He's actually traveling, but he did say that he would grace our committee with his presence in January. So I look forward to that. And, I'm pretty sure the committee is looking forward to hearing from him as well. But outside of that, again, we're still putting out shelters and trying to get as many out as possible and roll out Reimagine the Comment and make sure where we're placing routes in the future, we actually have amenities along with trying to, take a look at the service area and make sure that we modernize our routes. But outside of that concludes my report, but I'm open to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Eric. Does anyone have anything for the comment?
Again, this is Frank. Eric, a while ago, I think the former director of the Congress was looking at getting some electric vehicles and different type of vehicles for Columbia Market. Where do we stand on that?
Absolutely. So we are working through it now. And we also received some additional funding. So we're trying to bring in a consultant actually to kind of help navigate the best ways to use that funding. I reported in a previous meeting that we have reached out to Proterra. We even visited the plant just to take a look at some of the buses. We looked at some used opportunities, whether what if we purchase new. We looked at other agencies who's been operating on a fully electric fleet for some time now, and seeing if they have any that they would like to donate or that we can purchase off of their hands. So we're still going through those alternatives, but we now have more of a reoccurring meeting. We met last Friday, but I was out sick for that meeting. But we are starting to have talks and trying to figure out what we can do to push that project forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question as well. That's kind of a what if scenario for Mr. Harris. What would happen funding wise if the TPAC stopped all funding to comment right now?
Well, this is definitely, it's a tough question. That's not something I necessarily am looking forward to, but what we are trying to do is help, I guess, mitigate that process. And that's the reason why the Reimagine the Comment project is so critical. We provided a budget for them to say that, hey, this is what we're looking at as far as our financial trajectory goes, and let's make sure that we are in line with this just in case something starts to shift. We're trying our best to get to that place, and only time would tell as we get to more so February, closer to that final board recommendation where we would be. But we are trying to pay close attention to it and seeing what would be possible.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
John, you're absolutely right about that. That is something that's very important to the future of the Comet and understanding what those financial impacts are going to look like. Of course, we're going to do everything we can to endear the penny to as many people as possible to where we may be able to have another referendum one day. But the odds are stacked against us, and we've got an uphill climb to get to that point. So I'm glad that the Comet is being proactive, reviewing their options and looking for those other opportunities for funding so that we can still maintain a high level of service, but maybe look for other sources to fund it with. And I think also integral to that is making sure that we are able to start using these electric buses. And I think hydrogen may have been included in that option, that grant as well. So certainly want to see those. Eric, I think in the last meeting, you also mentioned vetting, I guess, service to the Lake Murray Dam. Any progress with that? And then I want to roll in with that kind of a separate question / comment that I saw that Pine Island may become a state park sometime in the near future. And if that's the case, would a route to the Lake Murray Dam also be able to reach out to Pine Island to provide service there? Of course, a narrow road. I'm not sure if it's really a great application for y'all's buses, but just want to make sure it's all kind of being considered together. But have y'all had an opportunity to talk about that a little bit further?
Not quite. So what happened after we finished the Reimagine the Comet, I guess, planning process, we did explore what some of those alternatives would look like. But if we were to pursue it, it would come through a micro transit pilot that we were already working with a vendor for, so it'd be easy to, to get it on the ground, but we're just more so working with the timing of it all to make sure we roll out services all at the same time. That's all. But this is my first time hearing about the you said Pine Island, so that would be something I'll look into this week and see what I can possibly come up with.
I heard it may be online as soon as this next summer. So if that's the case.
Wow. Okay.
Service, then let's get ahead of it. That sounds great. But very good. Anything else we'd like to bounce off of Eric? Oh, we've got this great resource available to us here.
Yeah, John, this is Eva. Eric, how is routes determined in your proactive approach? Do you go out in service areas to determine if there's a need for routes in certain communities, or is it the community having to request routes in their area?
Yeah, so typically it starts off as a pilot, but even the way that you get to a pilot, normally you may have an elected official, or you have someone in that community, that neighborhood, who reaches out to us, and from there we try to explore that opportunity. And sometimes exploring the opportunity could just be asking, hey, can you get a petition started? That way we can see there's enough people that will actually ride the service if we were to place service in that area. And sometimes the back end is just already there, where we see, okay, this is a great opportunity. We do see developments coming in. And sometimes you even see it from a business standpoint. They have project plans in place, and they say, hey, over the course of this amount of time, do you think that we can look into providing service or extending service in this area? So that's just the standard practice that we have. And from there, we evaluate whether or not it's performing well, and then we make it into a permanent service.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Absolutely. We could look for those opportunities. We see how responsive Eric is when we suggest a route to Pine Island. So that's something we're looking into.
Right. I got to tell the other people in our group about this and see what their thoughts are.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very good. Anyone else before we let Eric fall back into mute? Awesome. Thank you, Eric.
And John, question for you now. Has there been much discussion as of late in terms of the penny tax, or? Just-
No, nothing specific. I think it's something that we understand is out there in the future. And so that by no means is that a threat that the penny funding is going away anytime soon. That is your money and it's not going anywhere. We just want to make sure that there's opportunities so that the comment doesn't get mothballed in 5 or 10 years.
Okay.
But we know that's not going to be the case. So we just want to make sure that we see a solid plan for the future.
Absolutely. Just keep us involved. That's all.
Absolutely. Very good. Moving on to other business, our next scheduled meeting is January 24th, 2021. I will note that kind of ties in with our membership update. At that next meeting, I do want to hold official elections and clear any interim titles from anyone's name, and make sure that we have a chair and a vice chair for this committee. I will shoot an email to all known appointees here in the next week or so that we can go ahead and start planning for that vote at the January meeting. Consulting Robert's rules, today we have a quorum of our appointed members. We have a majority of the folks who've been appointed. There are open appointments, but since those appointments have not been made, we are reaching quorum today. And so since we don't have an official chair, we're not taking notes, we're still not going to do minutes or take motions to adjourn or anything like that. But in January, I'd like to start doing that. I'd like to start conducting our business the way that we are intended to do, and hope that with our new membership and our re-engaged membership that we'll be in a better position to carry forward with the committee or the business of the committee. That will also entail being able to issue letters to the council to advise on decisions that they see coming to ad hoc by having a quorum within TPAC so that we can try to exercise our voice a little bit louder and get some official correspondence in council's hands. And so, I'm looking forward to that in this next year. I appreciate y'all joining us and being available for that. And in the interest of doing that, like I say, I would like to have elections at our next meeting to select our chair and our vice chair as it's, prescribed in our bylaws to do so. So I want to make a note to all of that, but just want to open up the floor to other appointees. Is there anything else that y'all would like to discuss while we're together this month before we get off? All right, very good, y'all. Well, with that being the case, I appreciate everyone joining us very much. I hope everyone enjoys a happy holiday season and a festive new year. We'll catch you in January on the 24th at 5:30, and I very much look forward to talking to all of you then. Y'all have a good one.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Likewise, take care.
Thank you.
Likewise. Have a good
All
one.
right. Bye-bye.